Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
There we go. 1:30 on a beautiful Thursday afternoon in the capital city. Much like, it gets colder. Like the day after the World Series ends, doesn't matter what the temperature outside, it just feels colder. It's I don't know if it's that mental sense that winter is now.
Is the World Series over?
Right on the doorstep. Yeah.
When did it end?
Oh man, Giants just rolled. Kind of disappointing. I wanted more baseball games, but I'm
not a big. I like baseball, but I don't follow it very much.
I would have been okay with the Tigers winning 1 or 2 games just to extend the series, so I have more baseball to watch. It's all about me.
It makes sense.
So, now that once again democracy has flexed its muscle and the people have spoken, it feels just a little lighter, a little brighter outside.
So you want to hear the funniest reason why Barack Obama got elected?
I've heard some pretty horrible ones.
Well, this one's funny. This one amused me.
Okay, because the presidential race is a marathon, and don't you dare bet against the Kenyans?
No, it wasn't outrightly racist.
All right.
It was Barack Obama knows how to throw the best party, and so the concerts are what caused all those people to vote.
Oh, that was one of the, I think it was Craig Robinson over at the Iowa Republican who said, that's why the Democrats had eliminated most of the Republican registration advantage, was because of the concert. Look, they got outworked. I can give you a very simple reason why that voter. One, obviously, Republicans got a boost because they had a contested primary and we didn't. Add to that and again, I don't know what term I want to go with. Romulans, Palestinians. Do you have a particular favorite?
No.
Paul Qaeda.
Qaeda, I love that one.
Another good one. Who would normally not be caught dead in a Republican, but came out, I don't know, because of gold and weed or whatever.
Hey, weed won. I'm moving to Colorado.
But as we moved back towards Election Day, Republicans got outworked. I think one of the legit left-wing criticisms of Obama for America is that they didn't do a whole lot of work for Democratic candidates as a whole. They were laser focused. I mean, certainly there was outreach with state Democratic parties and the like, but for the most part, an OFA office was there for Obama. But go into one of the victory centers or whatever what are we calling these Republican, and they were split. It'd be Latham people running it, or Republican Party of Iowa people running it. Not we're Romney, we're Republican.
Sorry, that's for something coming up. Ignore it.
Republicans got outworked. Our ground game was better. Our organization was better. And we talked about this yesterday. The Obama for Iowa people never left after 2008. There were paid operatives, in this state and every state. Straight on through. We had a better ground game. We had better outreach. And it showed. I wouldn't certainly give all the credit. Oh, no. I watched
You
hours.
want to take this one?
I watched hours of Fox. I don't know
You know what? You'll want to take this one. Just
all right,
trust
before
me.
we go to Friday, one of the things we want to talk about today is the right-wing media and how they have been a complete failure for even the right wing. And there's actually a very simple answer.
You'll like this call.
As to why. And again, we're getting the first reactions in the Senate. Mitch McConnell, I'm shocked, is bringing up obstructionism. And John Boehner offers his first olive branch to Democrats. He said he's willing to cut taxes with them. I'm shocked. So that and more. But first, toot toot, This crazy train don't stop. What's going on, Frank?
I'll give you a call. I didn't get a chance to call yesterday because I actually had to work. Didn't want to use up all my cell phone minutes, so I thought I'd call you today from home.
Okay, so you're not hammering today.
Well, listen, first off, I want to correct you there. The Republicans didn't get outworked.
Yeah, they did.
No, they didn't.
Okay, well, please go believing that.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Believe that Republican minority outreach is as great as Rush Limbaugh and Karl Rove.
Get outworked.
Please believe the conventional wisdom because it helps me greatly.
I'm going to tell you why the Republicans didn't get outworked. The numbers are just flat against us. Okay? The World War I vets are all dead. The World War II vets are quickly disappearing. The demographics are changing. The secular humanism that's been pumped in the public school system for the last 40 years, which you're a product of. The political correctness on the college campuses, which you're a product of.
Actually, I'm not necessarily proud, but when folks at Iowa State were protesting against building a McDonald's at the Hub back in the mid-'90s, we showed up with bags of free burgers to give out.
Well, it finally caught up with us. I totally, I'll admit, I totally subscribe to Pat Buchanan's book about how America is changing demographically. I mean, the numbers are just not with us anymore. There's too many young people. There's not enough old people anymore.
So perhaps if you'd like to win an election, you should reach out to them.
No, listen, Brad.
Okay, well,
I'm going to tell you something.
I'm cool with that.
I'm going to tell you something that's going to really surprise you, and maybe it won't surprise you.
All right. Is this going to be about the Obama
phone? But I would rather lose an election standing on principle than win one standing on nothing.
And this is where, again, there's a little bit of overlap. If this was a Venn diagram, there would be some ground in the middle, because I'm more than happy for you to lose elections.
That's fine. But you may wake up one day and not like what you've all created. This spending disaster that you've created. Newt Gingrich had something interesting to say Monday night.
Words I would never expect to ever hear in a sentence strung together.
Watch how FEMA and the government bureaucracy handles all this disaster out on the East Coast, and then you'll get some confidence or lack thereof of how they're going to handle your health care.
Okay, but the government isn't handling our health care.
Well, it will be soon.
When?
2014.
What happens then?
Well, that's when the main part of the bill kicks in.
And what does that main part of the bill do?
Well, I suppose it pays for all the perks that you want, like keeping kids till they're 26 on the parents' health care bill.
Now, that's actually been in place now for a while.
Well, whatever it is, I'm not an health care expert.
Okay, so you don't know what it is, but you know that it's bad.
I haven't been to the doctor in 30 years. I don't care about health care. Do you understand?
I know you don't have health insurance. If you get hit by a bus, I pick up the tab. You're welcome.
Well, you won't be picking up nothing because you won't be seeing me in the doctors.
No, but if you get hit by a bus or get in a car accident or hit yourself with one of those hammers you were using the other day on the phone and have to go to the emergency room, who picks up the tab for that?
Well, I knew the other night.
I would ignore that question if I were you, too.
Okay. I suppose you will, but I doubt very much it's coming out of your pocket.
You're welcome.
But I knew the election was lost the other night as soon as Wisconsin was called. I didn't have to sit up and have a long night.
Wisconsin was never going to be in the Romney column.
Well, Bradshaw,
then you should have known weeks ago that the election was over.
Let me explain something to you about Wisconsin. It's a little place called Madison.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a dormitory up there in Madison on the college campus that in 2008 had about 6,000 people registered to vote in a particular dormitory, and the dormitory don't hold but about 2,500 students. So as soon as Madison and as soon as Madison took over and Wisconsin was lost, I knew the race was lost.
But Wisconsin was never in play.
Well, listen, anything's in play.
No, that's actually not true.
I mean, I think this storm, which you're a cohort of yours, Chris Matthews on Hardball, was on TV cheering a storm that put thousands homeless and millions without power. So if you're proud of somebody like that on your side, cheering on a storm that done all that damage.
Well, now you're trying to tar me with Chris Matthews. What are you trying to get at here, Frank?
Well, he's one of the like-minded liberals. He was on. He was somebody who was on 30 days while Fox and CNN was covering the Libya thing religiously. For about 30 days prior to the election, Chris Matthews was running a bogus war on women, dragging relics out of the closet like Gloria Steinem, to come on and basically talk about a bogus war on women because I don't want to pay for some woman's birth control. And nor would I expect some woman to want to pay for my Viagra.
Frank, you don't have health insurance.
I don't care.
So hold on. What is the birth control mandate say?
It's trying to force the government to pay for somebody's birth control.
That's
it's trying
not
to force
true.
the Catholic Church.
Frank, that's not true. Do you know? Would you like to know what it does? It says that insurance will cover it without a copay. It is preventative care, along with a myriad of other things, that no longer has a copay because ultimately they're large money savers. So that only applies to insurance companies of which you're not a customer. So no one's asking you to pay.
That's right. And
for birth control. So why are you upset about this?
I would never have to pay anyway. That's not the point.
Why are you upset about this then?
Because
Since it doesn't affect you.
People should be on a government dole.
I just said insurance will cover it. The insurance that people are already paying for.
And already businesses. Did you see the stock market done yesterday? It took a 300-point dive.
Okay, where was the stock market when Obama was elected?
I don't know.
Where is it now? You should go look that up.
I noticed Monday when I come by the gas station, gas was 309.
All right.
And I miraculously noticed the day after the election it was 323.
What was gas, I don't know, the summer of 2008?
And I predicted that Obama was trying to bring gas prices down and that they would go up right after the election.
Well, there's another case where you're wrong. Would you like to be educated or not? Because I'll offer you the option.
I'm wrong that gas went up about 20 cents overnight?
No, you're wrong about why it went down. It typically goes down every October. Go back and read liberal blogs from 2004 when they were concerned when gas prices are going down and this is Bush trying to win the election. What happens generally in September, late September to early October, is the changeover to the winter grade gasoline that we all put in our cars. And once the changeover is completed, what do you know? Supply goes up and demand goes down. Now, what happens, let's just go basic economics here, when supply is up and demand is down? What happens typically to prices?
Yeah, that gasoline don't seem to follow those rules, though.
Well, actually, it did. When
If
demand went way down.
If you've got a warehouse full of toasters and you've got a big supply of toasters, generally the price of those toasters are going to go down. You have a warehouse with 3 toasters in it, that means the price is going to go up. We've got so much oil in this country, we don't know what to do with it, but yet gasoline is running $4 a gallon.
Well, the problem is you don't run your car on oil now, do you?
No, it just run on fuel that has to be refined.
Correct. So when all the refineries have switched over to the winter blend.
Side is going to
this happens every October. You're getting conspiracy theory fever, Frank.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, I called to tell you.
All right.
Basically.
Now we're getting to the point.
We'll get to the point here. I'm a man of my word. And I told you months ago, probably on your old radio show on WOW, that if the Republican Party gave me one more stinker, a la John McCain or Bob Dole, that this old boy was going to retire from the Republican Party. And I'm going to be a man of my word because I'm calling today and have them send me the auditor's office, Jamie Fitzgerald or whoever's the charge of the auditing office. I'm going to have them send me a form to unregister to vote. So I'm stepping off the political bandwagon, and I'm going to focus on what I probably should have been focusing all along, was the soon second return of Jesus Christ. So just let you know I'm a man of my word. I mean, Romney put forth a pretty gallant effort. I'll pat him on the back. He done better than I thought he was going to do.
All right, now you can play the music. When do you think Jesus is coming back, Frank?
Well, I got news for you, buddy. You know what keeps you awake at night is us neoconservatives.
Now, generally, it's this horrible second wind I get about 10 o'clock, and it's a pain in the butt for me to go to bed before like 4 or 5.
But I'll tell you what, I'll surprise you and tell you what keeps me awake at night.
Everything, Frank.
No.
Lack of knowledge.
Be surprised.
Lack of insight.
That never stopped me before, did it?
That's true.
I sleep like a baby. I don't know what you two are staying up for.
I'll tell you what keeps me awake at night.
In a diaper, you mean?
Okay. Is neo-Pentecostalism. Neo-tongues, neo-Pentecostalism, whatever you want to call it. I'm just telling you that the Lord's coming. The clock is ticking down on America's freedom. You know, Revelation 13 predicted, prophecy in the Bible predicted in Revelation 13:11, the rise of U.S. to be a beast power. They would have lamb-like characteristics. And that freedom,
We have a very soft coat.
that freedom of religion and that freedom of a fiscal power is deteriorating before your very eyes. So you keep putting in office the people you want to put in, and you're going to wake up one day, bud, and you may not like the country you've all created.
Pretty sure they said the same thing about FDR multiple times.
No, it's because...
Al's Landon would have saved us all.
Listen, 1 out of 6 people profess no religious identification in the United States. The number of atheists has risen, self-identified atheists has risen in the country from 15% to 20%. There's even in our own ranks, 50% of Christians don't believe in a literal devil. In our own ranks, the Episcopalian Church, 1 million members have left the church, have fled the church since 2000 due to gay and women ordaining bishops and gay and lesbian marriage.
I agree that people are leaving religious tradition in droves, and I want to thank the Steve Daces and the Bob Vanderplatses and the Jeff Mullins for helping make that possible, because they've done far more lifting than I ever could.
You think I'm a rube, but you're just a bigger rube as me, bud, because I'm going to tell you something. When you're standing on Alpha Centauri and you're waving at me, all our information is handed down. Mine's handed down from the Bible. Yours is handed down from a bunch of infidel authors. You're standing on Alpha Centauri waving at me. Until then, your theory is just as good. Your theory is just as good as mine. Neither one of us has proven anything to the other.
You play Alpha Centauri? Do you play like the Civ games?
No, I don't play any video games.
I like to win the space. I build the UN and end up getting all the votes, and that's typically how I win. But I do enjoy winning the space race as well. But and I just, for whatever reason, I always have to declare war with Gandhi. I don't know. It's probably pathological.
But the political numbers are just against the Republican Party, and that's just all there is to it.
So we should double down on that failure, is what you're saying.
I'm stepping off the failure. I'm telling you what I'm personally doing. I don't know what the rest of the Republicans are going to do, but I'm stepping off the failure because I think it's an unwinnable battle.
Can we check the Mixler real quick? Might as well get something accomplished out of this call. It's saying it's off air. What were you saying?
It's an unwinnable battle. There's too many atheists. There's too many non-believers. There's too many people that subscribe to abortion. There's too many people that subscribe to gay marriage.
Is it like the Jelly of the Month Club?
Listen, Bradshaw, Romney was not going to take away a woman's right to have an abortion. This whole thing was ginned up over that Sandra Fluck, the buffoon, who will probably come out to be a lesbian when it's all said and done.
Yeah, her boyfriend would be probably pretty interested in that.
She was ginning up some bogus war on women because people don't want to pay $9 a month for her birth control pills.
You're not paying it. You don't have health insurance.
But there's other people who are paying that do.
Okay. And what's the problem with that?
My point is because the taxpayer doesn't want to be on the hook for that. The Republican Party got pasted and smeared.
Frank, I just explained to you what the birth control mandate was, and you're still going back to your...
Perception is reality.
No, actually, reality is reality. This is one of the main problems we're going to discuss today.
In politics, perception is reality. And when you come out and you paste a party as being anti-woman, and then you get the results of that Tuesday night, don't be shocked.
It helped that you had, the Crusaders of Rape and whatever running for office.
Well, Bradshaw, I happen to believe that the only thing that trumps the right of that fetus in the womb is the life of the mother. So if that tells you where I stand, then so be it. But I'm telling you, that fetus does nothing wrong. Now, if you'll support the death penalty for rapists, fine.
I don't support the death penalty.
No, sure. But you want to give the death penalty to the most innocent of a victim that's in the womb.
No, I'm saying as a guy who can never, ever get knocked up, despite what Schwarzenegger movies tell us, I'm not going to tell
But
someone
above
else.
and beyond that, just because Murdoch and Aiken says something they believe, we no longer have a right in this country to speak what we believe.
No one who's taking away your right to speak what you
Well,
believe.
because you're saying that those people are unfit for office because they have that belief.
No, Frank, their constituents did in large numbers.
No, but you helped them think that.
I did.
Yeah, sure,
I think
because
you
you're getting on
overestimate
it.
my
You're saying,
power.
well, anybody that believes that the world is only 6,000 years old shouldn't even be allowed to vote. Well, anybody that believes that
I've never said that, Frank.
you have said that on your show.
I don't know if they should be allowed to breathe, but they should be allowed to vote.
You think well? In fact, I'll take it one step farther. You said that they shouldn't be allowed to be president if they believe the world's only 6,000.
I would love for someone to openly admit they believe the Earth is 6,000
Right
years
here.
old on the stump,
right here.
just to see what the electorate
Right
reaction
here.
would be.
You know, you used to watch some Bob Ross, I assume. Does it make any difference how long his canvas sat in the closet before he decided to throw some light on the canvas? That canvas, that dark canvas, could have sat in his closet for, I don't know, millions of years.
Oh,
Until
please.
he
if it was a
decided
dark
to throw
canvas,
light on.
Republicans would accuse it of wanting stuff.
And this Earth was a void out there in space until God decided to throw some light on the place. So the place could have existed millions of years before God put life on it.
Yeah, but that's not what the young Earth creationists say.
And I'll tell you what distorts all your facts about aging the Earth was the flood. Because what was on top of the Earth, all the precious metals, all the precious gems, all the precious golds and metals and stuff, got turned to the bottom, and what was on the bottom got turned to the top. So that disrupted all your aging processes that you go through to determine how old something is.
Now I don't even know where to start with the crazy there, Frag. You're on a roll. Let it out. Let it out. I hope this is somewhat cathartic for you.
No, I'm just telling you. I'm going to focus on what I need to focus on. I just wanted to listen.
Just do me a favor. Don't become like a Millerite and sell all your stuff and go to upstate New York and
no. Well,
we know when
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about the Millerites. Okay, just to wise you up a little bit.
All right.
There was more people, there was more church organizations than the Millerites. The Millerites started out, I guess, basically as Methodists. And the Millerites weren't the only ones that were studying the 2,300-year prophecy in the Bible.
No, there's no, again, since literally the time of Jesus, there's been no shortage of people who believe that I am special, I am blessed, and I will be here.
As I told you on this,
I will be here for the second coming, which is coming any day now.
As I told you on your prior radio show, the Millerites did not have the date wrong. They just had what was going to happen on that date wrong. See, they thought the cleansing of the sanctuary was going to be the cleansing. You know, they didn't realize that it was the start of probation. They had the event wrong. The date was right. The date in October the 22nd, 1844 was a correct date. But what it started in 1844 wasn't the second coming of Christ. It was the beginning of probation that we're living in right now.
So we all have spiritual ankle monitors.
So when the mark of the beast comes and everybody is sealed with that mark or sealed with the seal of God, that's what brings the world into two camps: saved, lost, righteous, unrighteous. And
what exactly is the mark of explain this mark of the beast to me, Frank. Is it a tramp stamp? Because if so, I kind of want to be in that camp just based on my experience of watching spring break movies on Cinemax.
It's a mark that's told about in the Bible that unless you have this mark, you won't be able to buy or sell, for one. Well, how far off is that with our technology in the world? You know, I just started a bank account that I haven't had a bank account for probably over 20 years of my life. And they encourage you to walk around with a debit card. They don't even encourage you to spend money. They don't even want you to spend money anymore. You walk up to a counter and give somebody money. The Federal Reserve, they don't even print money anymore. The Federal Reserve, when they add money to people's bank accounts, they just add digits. They add zeros.
I always wonder why. Every time they ask me, credit or debit, I could swear they're speaking in tongues.
Well,
he's coming in a Honda. He's coming in a Honda.
The point that I'm getting at is...
I do come in a hunt. Oh, my God, it's prophecy.
The point that I'm getting at is money, only to keep up with the aging currency is the only reason they even print money anymore. They just add zeros to people's accounts.
Soon they'll just beam it right into our frontal cortex.
When you can have chips embedded in your arm, when you can walk around with a number in your hand, and the mark will either be in the forehead or the hand, the mark is either going to be the ones that that's in the forehead will be the true believers of it. The ones that's in the hand will be the ones that are just going along with it for fear. But the point is, how far are we off from this when they're talking about a world currency? Talbot, one of Hillary Clinton's advisors, said that he's not a citizen of the United States. He's a citizen of the world. He's been promoting a world currency for years. So how far are we off from having a world currency? If everybody's on one world currency, then how hard would it be to just go to a number? You just got a certain amount of money accredited to your bank account. When you're out of those credits, you're out of money. We've just about done away with the postal system. 50% of the mail that's delivered is not even first class mail anymore. All that is basically handled by email. So we're living in an electronic age. So why are we messing around with paper currency?
No, I'm taking animal. Just forget it. He's rolling at this point.
No, I just asked you. Why
was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, Frank?
That was the Japanese.
Now, see, you can, at least I think one fact right. You're one for God knows how many.
Well, as I said before, Bradshaw, you choose to believe your hand-me-down information, your accumulated knowledge.
Yeah, but it keeps being validated.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, ask the unskewed polls guys. Ask Dick Morris and Karl Rove.
Well, as I said before, these guys aren't taking into account the fact that you can't keep dipping in the same well over and over and over again. You can't be calling the same number of people with landlines because you know as well as I do, landlines are almost a deteriorating thing. It's almost a dinosaur in this country, anybody that's got a landline.
Okay, then how did public policy polling pull it off?
So I don't know how in the world that they even get to these people just walking around with cell phones.
Frank, you're a couple days late with that argument. The polls actually were correct.
I don't think they were correct.
Then how did they tie in with the election?
Well, during the year, wasn't Ohio called to be about 8 or 9 points for Obama?
No.
It didn't turn out to be 8 or 9 points. How many thousand votes was it off? 100,000?
Who said 8 or 9 points in Ohio for Obama?
All summer long, you were talking about how Obama was out polling Romney 8 and 9, 13 points in Ohio. He was just getting creamed in Ohio.
No, the aggregate was, about 2.5, which is about what it turned out to be.
I'll give you my opinion. You take it for what it's worth. But that little thunder shower that hit the East Coast is what basically, in my opinion, turned the election.
Yes.
Because Obama got the chance to look presidential before the American people.
And his photo ops with Chris Christie,
generally speaking,
encouraged all these single women and minorities and the youth vote to come out and run.
Generally speaking, DWI or National Guard records or Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to get dropped 5 days for an election. Just happens this go-around, the October surprise was a little thunderstorm that went up the East Coast.
Okay, how come the numbers didn't move much before and after Sandy?
Because people...
So they knew the storm was coming, and they factored that into the polls ahead of time to be ready when the storm hit.
I'm just telling you that changed the perception of the voters.
Based on what evidence, Frank, or is that just a gut feeling?
That's a gut feeling.
Okay, so you and Joe Scarborough can have a good time. You should grow a mustache. Thanks for the call, Frank.
You're welcome.
Ties very well into what we're going to talk about for the next half hour, and that is, I don't know if you've caught this, but this right-wing not that accurate. And there's actually a very simple reason for it, for the folks wondering, why isn't Dick Morris getting, punished for being so wrong? all the time. What happened to all these guys that were calling for a Romney landslide? It was in the bag, and why are there no repercussions to this? Well, unfortunately, it's actually pretty simple. They're doing what they're paid to do, and they're doing what their audience wants them to do. I'll explain, with evidence when we return. Here on the Bradshaw Show on Webcast One Live. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Back right after this.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? You can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
It's time to start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
All right, Bradshaw with you here till 3 on a beautiful Thursday afternoon in the capital city. Thanks for coming along. I would like to point out, not all pollsters are created equal. And when you look at, I've been telling you for years, public policy polling is the new it. Is the new it girl? Is that still a thing? I don't know. I'm not hip. I'm pretty square. But public policy polling not only has the best numbers, but also has by far only, but also by far the best social media. Not that I particularly care for that term, but at least on Twitter, they love to repost the comments from the various kooks and occasional racists who complain about their numbers. There are bad pollsters, however. Rasmussen, for example, shockingly continues to have a Republican lean. Almost looking at nationally in Colorado, Florida, Iowa, New Hampshire, Ohio, Virginia, all these swing states. Their numbers were almost the opposite of what you see in reality. And some of the bigger pollsters, again, sometimes legitimate errors are made. I think the folks at Gallup, in a moment of honesty, would admit that they misconstrued what the electorate would look like. Again, it's one of the samples of, garbage in, garbage out. But there are way too many. Who's the guy? Suffolk said that they were no longer going to poll Florida because it was obviously in the bag for Romney. I think they stopped polling Virginia too.
Have they announced whether Florida went one way or the other yet?
Thank God the incompetence of Florida doesn't matter this time.
Sure.
I think it's still up in the air, but I have a hard time seeing how Romney wins that one. There were people voting, till 2 in the morning on Wednesday in Miami-Dade County. And it's every election, it's the same. It's Florida, it's Ohio, especially in, these
How is that legal
areas.
if they're there till 2 o'clock in the morning? Is it?
If you're in line when the polls close, you get to vote. They don't just shut the door and tell everyone to go home. You can't be held accountable for the incompetence of poll workers, whether it's intentional or not.
And why were they still in line at 2 o'clock? I mean,
to have their voice heard, to put Barack Obama over the top.
Well, whoever went over the top there, we don't know yet. But
it's insulting. I've never had to wait longer than 20 minutes.
Yeah, but they almost had to have shown up right up at the end or something.
There's long lines all day.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and
they should maybe open some more polling places.
That might encourage those people to vote, and guys like Rick Scott aren't really down with that. I would hope the Department of Justice takes a very serious look at some of these repeat offenders. I mean, obviously something can go wrong. Machines go screwy. Diebold machines are almost universally horrible in their software implementation. Not like they're crooked, but they're just bad. It's like a Windows Vista machine. Or Microsoft Bob. Basically, they're the Microsoft Bob or Windows ME of the voting machine world. And at some point, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3, 4, 8, 9 times. I mean, I'm sorry. How does a Secretary of State, Director of Elections, or a governor in Florida not know what's going to happen in Miami and take action to avoid it? Unless, again, they see it as a feature, not a bug. So we talked with Frank, and I apologize for that. Sometimes you just got to get it out of your system. And I don't know if you caught something, but pretty much everything Frank asserted. 2 things you can say about it. A, it's wrong, and B, it's conventional wisdom on the right wing. And this isn't a happy accident, as the aforementioned Bob Ross would call it. One thing you have to understand about the Dick Morrises and the Karl Roves and the Megyn Kellys, they are doing their job superbly, and that is telling Republicans what they want to hear. No one sane thought this was going to be a Romney landslide, except, Dick Morris and Steve Forbes and Rush Limbaugh, who kept feeding a, conservative audience the message they wanted to hear, in spite of all evidence to the contrary. Be like, why won't there be repercussions for that? Because they're doing their job. I mean, the A1 job is to preach the hatred of Barack Obama, and they're very good at that. But 2 is tell conservatives what they want to hear. Why do you think you see so many right-wingers complaining about the mainstream media? And by that, again, they mean the non-right-wing media. Because is there anything more mainstream than being the #1 cable news network, Fox, but they're never counted among the mainstream media, no matter how wide, their berth and breadth, because they preach the right message. And they put a lot of time and a lot of effort into working the refs in hopes that more of their message can infiltrate the rest of the media landscape. What they see as a conspiracy, at the end of the day, is simple working the refs. When you see a football coach go out, scream and throw things, and you see a manager kick dirt on home plate, it's not to get that call overturned. That call's not being overturned. They want the next call. And they'd like to have the one after that as well. And you see stories kind of bubble up from the right-wing think tanks and blogosphere, make it onto the Drudge Report, then it gets to AM radio and Fox News. And if they can get enough momentum, occasionally a story can reach escape velocity and make it onto the CBS News. Touchdown Drudge. But here, just to give you an example, Jennifer Rubin's been someone worth making fun of now for a while. She is the right-wing blogger for the Washington Post. You can go back and read the whole, like Dave Weigel, journalist scandal. But as part of their effort to become a, diversified media company, Washington Post hired, Greg Sargent. He does their left-wing blog, and Jennifer Rubin does the right-wing blog. And Rubin's been a nonstop, Romney shill. Everything's good news for Romney. Whether it is or not, it's good news for Romney. So she penned her postmortem of the campaign, which bears very little resemblance, to her writing during the campaign. For example, right now she will tell you that Mitt Romney's convention speech was a huge missed opportunity. In fact, that said, the convention speech was a huge missed opportunity. Meanwhile, immediately after the speech, Mitt Romney accepted the nomination of his party for president with a speech that showed he could rise to the occasion and let us see a side of him that was compelling and heartbreaking. Now, she says, Romney made a lunge now and then in the direction of immigration reform and an alternative health care plan without giving those topics the attention they deserved. Meanwhile, this summer, the media are doing their best to disguise the unpleasant fact that Mitt Romney has been more forthcoming on immigration than the president has been in 3 years in office. And back in September, it isn't that hard. Romney will repeal Obamacare. He has always favored protection for people with pre-existing conditions, will move from one employer-provided plan to another, from an individual purchase to an individual provider plan. So again, during the campaign, he's up front and he's talking about these things. Now, he didn't talk about it much. Now, she says, the communications team, talking about Romney, was one of the worst of any presidential campaign I've ever seen. Slow and plodding, never able to capitalize on openings. On August 31st, the Romney team, to a greater degree than most campaigns, has been criticized and lampooned. Too timid, too unfocused, too slow, too inept. But this week demonstrated that the campaign officials are more skilled than they've been depicted. And their errors and stumbles in large part have been obliterated by the lingering glow of the convention. There is some personal vindication for them as well. And, time and time again, the message during the campaign, while she's shilling for Romney, bears little resemblance to what she's writing now. And the reason Jennifer Rubin gets brought up, because the Washington Post is generally a respected institution. And, well, when you have one of your employees, one of your ambassadors, one of your faces to the public, basically pulling a Hannity, is that the message you want to put out? And Yeah, this is why, again, there will be no blowback against Fox News at the end of the day. There'll be no blowback against the unskewed polls people or any of the, intellectual giants of the right. Turned out to be almost literally wrong about everything. Because they're giving conservative audiences the direct that they want, that they crave, that they need. Again, as someone who has spent a lot of time wedged in with the right, I got me. One of the first things that I was really confused about was when someone would call me, a left-wing Hannity. And by the way, they don't consider that a compliment, even though Hannity's, one of their best and brightest. They would try to insult me when, I don't know, calling me a fag or something didn't work. And I would make fun of them for it. Then you're just a left-wing Hannity. And I didn't understand. I couldn't decode it at first. Ba weep grana weep ninibong. Shaka when the walls fell. It finally dawned on me. Here's this guy that they would listen to, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. They were accusing me of being just like him because he's a liar. He's a shill. He's wrong. He's feeding them BS, and they know it. And they want to tar me with that. You're just as big a liar as our guy, is the root of that message. It took me a while to decode that one, but it finally, so that's what they mean. I think in their heart of hearts, they know that Karl Rove is lying to them and Fox News is spoon-feeding them, right-wing baby food. And they lap it up and they ask for seconds. They want to live in the bubble. They are scared, whatless of the rest of the world. Yeah. Why do you think... go to Twitter. It's at Republican Tears. Yes, it started out as just schadenfreude and kind of wallowing in their impotent rage. But as you keep reading it, and these people were... This election caught them completely off guard. They've lived, so deeply in this bubble when they can't keep reality out anymore. When they called Iowa and Ohio, election done. Democrats retained the Senate. Democrats actually pulled in. I know the House has a huge Republican majority. You realize Democrats got more collective House votes than Republicans did. More Americans voted for a Democrat in the House of Representatives than for Republicans. Thanks to gerrymandering and some really creative district drawing, Republicans were able to hold on to at least the House of Representatives. Republican stalwarts like Allen West got the boot. Paul Ryan, who I don't know if has ever lost an election or ever won an election by less than 30 points, only won by 8. In some cases, we have a Democratic senator from North Dakota now. Darlings like Scott Brown get the boot, and not one Democratic incumbent in the Senate lost. This was a broad, sweeping win by the Democrat. And Republicans couldn't ignore it. They couldn't spin it away. There was no excusing it. Too big, too wide to, even claim that this election was stolen by Acorn, which became a mantra. Literally it was a majority opinion of Republicans in 2009. So what you see when reality enters the bubble, whether they want to or not, they don't have a way to shut that thing down. And go read the right-wing blogs. Go to the Fox Nation and just stroll through and just pick one. Just pick a story at random. Throw a dart, preferably not at your computer screen. It could cause damage. Go read the comment thread. See how, again, the base of the base is doing this. Go to the more mainstream sites. Go to a Red Nation or even the Iowa Republican. Go read the aftermath. I mean, sure, we all pay attention to the Victoria Jacksons who are, proclaiming the death of America, and the students at Ole Miss who decide to throw a nice little riot and yell, racial slurs at President Obama, which is, again, it's the South, so coming up next, dog bites man, news at 11, but these are people who just live in their own little world and have no connection to the rest of us, other than to hate us, show outright disgust. Republicans claim to love this country. They sure as hell don't seem to like the people in charge of it or the people who voted them to get there. Ron emails radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Interesting that a party that has so deified Ronald Reagan does not understand the mojo of Reagan. People liked Reagan, if only on a personal level. People like to vote for people they like. It's as simple as that. Reagan, for his part, seemed to like people in return. That example is a far cry from the advanced, misanthropic, misogynist Republican Party we have now. The GOP might have helped itself. It did not swagger in its dripping contempt for most of the electorate. I think Ron's on to something there. I mean, it's, ugly. I guess the one thing Republicans can take credit for, or take solace in at the very least, no matter what is happening right now, you are having a better day than Karl Rove. Karl Rove ran the Crossroads GPS. That's the super PAC that dropped in the neighborhood of $400 million. They were certainly on the ground here in Iowa. Although, brought to you by Crossroads, Grassroots. You'd see that they spent $400 million. This was the kind of go-to destination. If you were, a multimillionaire or a billionaire that was looking to, influence this election and get on in for the big win, Crossroads GPS. I mean, Karl Rove, right? Turd Blossom. That's not a slam. That was George Bush's nickname for what the media called Bush's brain, right? He was the architect. He had the math. He was the genius. They won nothing. So today was the day of the conference call with major donors where Karl Rove would have to explain himself. I'm guessing his answer was a little more convoluted. To be honest, if I'm Karl Rove, I get on that conference call and I laugh my ass off. Why? Because for running this super PAC with a $400 million war chest, the very least that I personally am walking away with is 10%. Since Rove's one of those right-wing grifters now, it's probably closer to 15 or 20. Again, the amount out of the pool that I'm just going to keep as my very own for being the benevolent force of good that runs this thing. That's a typical percentage for a consultant to walk away with. So, at the very least, Karl Rove walked away with $40 million of their dollars. So I'm laughing my ass, all the way to the Cayman Islands. But I guess he wants to come back and do it again in 2016. So let the excuses fly. The latest, by the way, is that Democrats won by suppressing the vote. Told you, right-wing Republican Party is the party of projection. The party of Matt Schultz and long lines at polling places and voter purges. Now accusing, I mean, it's sad. But now we are the party of voter suppression. Interesting point brought up with Rove. In addition to his duties on Fox News and as the head of Crossroads GPS, he's also a regular opinion columnist at the Wall Street Journal. Now, the argument, I think, during most of the summer and fall was, why isn't the Wall Street Journal disclosing, right, so that their readers know that when Karl Rove, for example, says in the Wall Street Journal on the opinion page that Barack Obama is going to, destroy Mitt Romney with a flurry of negative ads, and we need to push back by running more negative ads, which you need to donate money to groups such as My Crossroads GPS, so we can do it. There might be a bit of a conflict of interest there. There never was. Based, I would assume, on it's okay if you're a Republican. I guess the thing that I take heart for, I got mad. I've listened to more Limbaugh in the last 2 days than I probably have in the last 5 years. Maybe this is just, again, one of those truisms we have to accept is the right wing in this country is simply not equipped to deal with information that doesn't fit with their worldview. I mean, they're throwing blame around, like leaves in a storm. It was the fault, it was the fault of, again, spin the wheel. Mike Huckabee today says it's a loss because Christians didn't show up and vote, which I'm very interested to know his definition of Christian, since 78%, based on exit polls, of the electorate consider themselves Christian. Perhaps the difference is with your definition, Governor Huckabee. Or maybe it's just the fact you're completely full of it. Right? Remember when Catholics were going to break away from Obama and he'd lost Catholics? He actually won the Catholic vote. Remember when, this whole Israel thing, he shunned Bibi. He's going to lose the Jewish... he's going to win it by 40 points, actually. These right-wing narratives, they tell themselves to feel better, more comfortable, make sense of a world that is quickly leaving them behind. Again, nothing new under the sun. This has been going on. I mean, you can literally find writings from Socrates about how society is going to hell and kids these days. Get off my lawn has probably been translated into more languages than anything other than, I am a holy man, give me money. It is, as old as time itself. Since, prehistory days. Oh, things just used to be better in the, negative 1850s, and kids were weren't afraid to play outside their cave, and there were plenty of woolly mastodons to go around. That conservative, things were always better back then, and we live in a apocalyptic hellhole. Just they've never had their own cable network before to distribute that message. And, even today it's, of course they're going to, minorities are going to vote for Obama. He's Santa Claus. They want Obama phones. Just bonus reminder, the program, a.k.a. Obama phone, was a Reagan initiative, which is why Republicans hate it, because they just loathe anything that Reagan actually did in lieu of his, actual record. When they talk about, Santa Obama, and he's getting free stuff, and Bill O'Reilly, this is the death of white culture, and 150 years ago, I posted this on my Twitter feed, @RadioBradshaw. The Freedmen's Bureau, an agency to keep the Negro in idleness at the expense of the white man. Support Congress and you support the Negro. Sustain the president and you protect the white man. This is 1865. Shows a incredibly racist picture of a slave sitting around receiving his government benefits while the white man toils in hard labor. Man, the more things change, I guess. All right. I got to scoot. Go to my Twitter feed. You can see the picture yourself. It's scary. www.thebradshawshow.com or twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. By the way, Dan, you'll be happy to know that the Romney camp has finally conceded Florida. So there you go. Nate Silver was 50 for 50. I got to scoot. We'll reconvene tomorrow for a Friday.
He lost one election. Or were you saying 50 for 50 states?
That would be 50 states.
Yeah, because he lost one election like North Dakota.
He did not get the North Dakota. I would assume because if he did, many on your side would consider him a witch and try to burn him. Does Nate Silver float? Someone needs to study this.
Oh, we're done burning witches. We just want to lethal inject them now.
Christine O'Donnell's still around.
Who doesn't want to burn her at the stake?
Let's be honest. No, I want her to run for office. Are you kidding me? I want to find more of these Tea Party loons.
Anybody with the name O'Donnell.
Get them on the ballot.
I mean, Rosie O'Donnell, let's burn her. I just think that
Lawrence is awesome.
That whole name. Just the whole name. Just burn them all.
All right. I got to scoot. We'll reconvene tomorrow at 1:30 here on The Bradshaw Show. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. And just go to the website. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be back tomorrow here on Webcast One Live. Appreciate you tuning in. See you tomorrow.